Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Happy Wednesday. I always waiting to see if I'm like, is it live? Is it not live? I'm pretty sure we're live. I see the red box.
I see it.
Um, we are super excited. We're here. We're here in March, just like we said we
Woo!
would be.
Yes, we did it.
It's almost Easter time, Tavia said. My sidekick really wants to be present on this video tonight, so I'm going to allow her. We are talking about, well, what we've been doing is we've been working our way through the health pyramid that doTERRA has offered, which really resonates with us. And I will show a older slide, but know that we're talking about this tonight. So we're talking about reducing our toxic load. And we've talked about this before, but we're taking a little bit of a different approach. And I'm just going to show you. So this isn't relevant. We're not doing exercise tonight. Sorry, I couldn't get that off the screen. But I wanted to show you the health pyramid again, or the lifestyle pyramid, because it's great principles and we're moving our way up. So we talked about rest and manage stress last time we were together. And we are now revisiting reduce toxic load, which, if you remember, that's kind of where we started this journey off. And we were talking about toxins that are in your daily life from like a chemical standpoint, right? And we addressed all these different places within your home and your body care. And so tonight we're going to take a different approach. You want to talk about that, Shay?
Yeah, and when we came to this point of being back at toxic load, I've been reading this great book. It's called Breathe. It's by Timothy Scott, who happens to be a pastor at my church.
Oh,
Just a
cool.
side
I
note.
didn't know
Just
that.
a side note. But this is he's a counselor, and he's a doctor, and he has just some insight on our emotional well-being and our relational well-being. And part of that is when we're holding on to emotions, and I'm going to use the word I because I do this a lot. And I hope you can relate. I hold on to emotions and I think I can handle this. This won't affect me. I won't be controlled by this. And what that does is it just ends up me feeding my mind. It's just toxic, right? It's toxic to think that I can handle this and handle this, whatever may be going on around me, whatever I may think that offense is. That may bring up different emotions. A very common emotion is anger, and anger that is not resolved leads to any emotion that's not resolved leads to just this toxicity building up into you, and it's not healthy for your mind, it's not healthy for your relationships, and it's not healthy for your body either. People get ulcers, palpitations, there's all panic attacks, anxiety. There's all these things that go on around this feeling of me saying I can handle this isn't that big of a deal, this won't affect me. And at some point there's so much you can do, right? And you can't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
You, Erin.
Well, so one of the principles I've really been tapping into in the past couple months is understanding just how powerful our thoughts are. And so if we really break down the process of an action, right, taking an action, positive or negative, we take an action based on a feeling, right? Because we're feeling happy and joyful, or we're feeling angry and frustrated, whatever that is, it causes us to take an action. So the step before that is the thought, because what produces the emotion is the thought, right? So
Mhm.
it starts here. And literally, for those of you that value God's word and scripture in the Bible, it tells us to take every thought captive. And that is so literal. And it's just the best advice to live by, because God knows that our thoughts are going to produce our feelings, and our feelings are going to produce our actions. And so, if we're not happy with the way things are turning out in our life, chances are we can trace it back, right, to our thoughts. I had this like super distinct moment. Shay and I were together a few years back. We were at a women's retreat that we were actually putting on. And our cousin was talking and sharing and teaching. And she kind of said, like, whatever's going on in your life, whether you like it or you don't, like, it's your fault. Like, you created it. And at that time, I really did not like what was going on in my life. And I was so mad. I was so mad at that statement because I was just like, ain't no way that I asked for this. Ain't no way that I created this on purpose. But now, being in the space that I am right here, I 100% fully take responsibility for that. And I absolutely created that. I'm reading a book called Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die. And there is something she said here. So she kind of breaks, she goes like in super depth on all of this stuff. And there's so much to be learned from this book. I have lots of things highlighted. Is this noise over here too disturbing, Shay?
Not for me.
Okay. I was like, making sure
It's low enough. It's low enough. I didn't even notice.
okay. But I wanted to share. So, one of the things she says, have you ever known anyone who seems to purposely, and it's subconsciously, of course, which is the same thing that was happening for me, and continually experience chaos, both in their relationships and in their lives? Like, ding, 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 ding. I have several people that come to mind. And oftentimes, people that are needing to control things, wanting to have control in whatever way it is, they characteristically need to be right. And what's happening is it's even on that subconscious level, all of us have this need and desire to be right. So, whatever it is that we think about the world, right, about whatever situation, we want to prove ourselves right. So, hey, like wake up and pay attention to that. That's like toxicity down. We just pinpointed it because if you believe this lie that the world is out to get you or people are out to get you, or so my mom and dad are really profoundly good at this. And they've been such a beautiful example to me. Thank you, mom and dad, of this lived out, because a saying in our family has always been, you know, that Jensen luck, right? We're the Jensen girls. And it was always like, if something went bad or something went wrong or whatever, there was a flat tire on the road trip, always, you know, that Jensen luck. Well, do you know what was happening? Like literally, energetically, subconsciously, that need to be right, that things don't work out for them, that everything is going sideways because of the Jensen luck. It was like being proved out, and it was so satisfying to them on this subconscious level because they were right, right? But do they really want, they don't want those things to be happening, obviously. No one is going to consciously choose it, but because of their thought process, because of their language, right? They were and continue to live those kinds of things out. So that's one thing that really stands out to me about those toxic thoughts is first acknowledging that really all of this lived experience in life, that we can trace it back to being a thought pattern, and we have to address the thought. And then also really acknowledging that there is something in our thought that is not, can be toxic, and we're trying to like prove ourselves right, and that's why we sort of live out in this way. So until we deal with those toxic thoughts, we're probably not going to see oh, I'm going to change that phrase. We are not going to see a different result. Not probably.
And it's a process, right? So I never really grow. So now growing into where my path is and where I'm going, years back, I wouldn't say I recognized any toxic thoughts, or took the moment to say, why am I feeling this way? And it's okay to feel this way, right? Instead of the things I said before, like, I can handle this or whatever. It's okay to feel this way, and starting to put tools in my tool belt to get me to have healthier thinking, right? So, what are some of those tools that we can do? First is having things like this where someone brings it up. It's like, yeah, you know what? I can totally relate to that. How do I stop it? Well, it's part of it is going a little deeper with that, having that intention of being like, okay, I'm going to recognize where my thought pattern is today, and I'm going to stop myself when I recognize it and see what that emotion is and see if this is serving me or not. And if it's not serving me, I'm going to say, this no longer serves me. This is no longer mine. And saying I am laying it aside is one tool I have in my tool belt. Does that work every time? Do I remember every time? No, but having these things, bringing this up. I put flashcards. I'll put something on the back of my door before I walk out. I'll change it up to remind myself of these things. So as I go out for the day, I can serve myself better as well as those around me, right? Be a more joyful person and be able to be relatable instead of like, no, I'm right. Especially in this atmosphere now and my history in the last 5 months. I want to be right, you know? And so I've really been recognizing how that thought is not serving me, and it's giving me this toxicity of brain that's given me depression, giving me anger. So it's something that I'm working on every day because it doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve me. I'm a woman of faith, and I know that God's in control, and I know that it's serving a purpose. But within that purpose, I'm growing and I'm becoming a better me through it. And part of that is recognizing when I'm not right and being okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for being vulnerable.
Yeah.
It is hard. And it's hard to also recognize. So, God does talk a lot about the spirit of fear. And we know that fear energetically is like the lowest vibrating emotion.
Yeah.
And so that's again like that toxic place, like where if we allow fear to remain in us, really some toxic things can start coming up as a result of it. And
I'm sorry.
thank you, babe. Okay, it's gonna be all right. The fear of how things will turn out. So it's interesting because what we're living through, as Shay brought that up, there's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of fear on both sides. It's not just like one side that's operating in fear. There's like a group of people operating in fear around a virus or death and that kind of thing, right? The consequences. But then there's another group, which I have tend to fall in this camp of like this fear of like, well, what's happening in our world and what is this going to mean for us? And um, that fear of like someone's trying to control me and someone's trying to like manipulate my life. The truth is, those are both fear, and they both, it's like the subconscious and the mind isn't evaluating why the fear is there, right? The fear is just, it's just like poison. It just is, right? It just is negative and it just is bad. So just having that process of recognizing it and recognizing that you want to move out of it. And
Yeah.
it hasn't, for the most part, none of this is really fast. I would say
Yes. It's not fast.
The fastest, it's not fast. The fastest tool I've used just to shift, right? So it's like once you recognize you're in a negative thought pattern or whatever it is, the fastest tool I've used to shift is tapping. And I've shared that before. And I really love the app called the Tapping Solution because it guides you through it. But even if you can't use the app, like just remembering those points. So it starts with that karate chop, right? And then it's under the eye. Oh, sorry. It's eyebrow, side of eye, under nose, under mouth, collarbone, underarms, a lot of unders, and then top of head.
Okay.
Even if you can't think of a word to say, those literally are energetic points of energy flowing through your body, kind of like that same principle as acupuncture. Even if all you can do is just tap it and take breaths, right? Breath is a huge thing that can help reset you. So, doing something like that just to shift. But as far as your long term game goes, of really beginning to deal with patterns in your life, thought patterns that you want to shift, it takes intentional work. And there's so many beautiful avenues, lots of cool books out there. That one last thing I wanted to just kind of touch on is there's this really cool book by Louise Hay called Heal Your Body. And unfortunately, everything that we're saying is really true, that there's a consequence. You know, it's not just having a bad day. There can be a physical consequence in your body, like cancer or heart disease or just all of these things.
Yeah.
And I want to look up one ailment and kind of show you how it works.
Do you want me to? I'll give you one of mine.
Give me an
What?
ailment.
Okay, so I'm having surgery on my right toe next week. So I've been having a lot of pain in that right toe. Does it say right toe on there or right foot?
We're going to try to start with toe and see what comes up for toes. Toes represent the minor details of the, drum roll please, future. Into my sisters.
Okay, you guys, we did not plan this. All right. That's what you know. This is real.
This is real. So,
oh my gosh.
Rewind for those of you that don't know, my sister lost her job as a nurse this past, I guess it was in 2022. So 2021. And her future career-wise has been very up in the air. And also her future, just like in general, because, right, if you don't know a piece of the plan, like you don't know the retirement plan, you don't know all of those things, and it's like future. It's not just about career. So this really resonates as kind of why I'm like, so Shay, what's cool about this book is it doesn't just tell you like the emotional connection to a physical pain, but it gives you a wonderful phrase as a resolution.
I'm going to write this down right now.
Yes, right. So all details take care of themselves.
Aha.
And what I would invite, so just with this, right? One of the really cool, I'm going to stand up. So one of the really cool energetic exercises is taking that thing that you're thinking about that's really weighing on you into your hands, right? And you're going to throw it into the earth. So we take, you know, if it's for Shay, this unknowingness, uncertainty about the future, she's going to take it to mine and she's going to throwing it down. Let's do it 3 times.
All details take care of themselves.
One more. And now that we threw it and we got rid of it, we want to zip up something really good. So you're coming from that lowest, this root chakra here, and you are zipping it up. So right here is where we want to say that all details take care of themselves.
All details take care of themselves.
Right on up, right? And you can lock it in on your mouth. You can lock it in on your head if that's how far you want to go. But I just want to give you a physical tool. You know, if you have this affirmation that you want to use. So first we need to energetically just say that we're going to release that thing and throw it down to the earth, because the earth can handle it. Earth can handle it just fine for us. And the creator of the earth, more importantly. And then zip up
Yeah.
that good thought, right? Zipping it into yourself.
So, one thing just to add on to that, love that. So, let's say I'm doing that, but I'm still in this emotion of maybe going into anger or anxiety or just letting it take over and run with it, right? I'm going to just keep saying that to myself out loud. All details take care of themselves. So if you're somewhere and you need to just step aside, maybe lock yourself in the bathroom for a minute so that you can say this. If you're like, I'm not going to say this in front of everybody, then move somewhere where you can say it in your mind. But saying it out loud really does something to your subconscious. So I would invite you to say all details take care of themselves. Just keep repeating it, saying it over and over, and then come back to it. You feel that emotion still coming to rise again? Do that exercise. All details take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I would add on to that, God is in control.
God is in control. And remember last time when we were kind of talking about some of this stuff that's a little bit similar, we weren't connecting the toxicity piece, but we did that the work when we asked those 4 questions. So whatever that statement is or that thought that you keep having, like you can do that 4 questions with, which remember that first one is it true? So, Shay, if you were going to give us a statement or a thought that you keep having about the future or you keep having about anger, whatever it is.
My future is out of control because I want to have body autonomy.
Okay. So, is it true that your future is out of control?
No,
Okay. And if
it's
she
not
said
true.
it's not true, and if she said yes, we would ask the second question of,
Okay, sorry, let me play. Yes, my future's out of control. I
well,
don't,
it
I,
feels like it, right?
if
I
you
mean,
would have asked me on October 1st, I would have said yes.
yeah. Okay.
I've done some work since then, but yes, my future's out of control.
So my next question is, can you absolutely know that that is true, that your future is out of control? Can you absolutely know?
I can't absolutely know that. No, I mean, this is what it looks like today. It feels out of control.
Yeah. So, how does that thought that your future is out of control feel in your body?
Um, it comes up as like palpitations. I feel palpitations. I feel like I start breathing faster instead of taking in those deep breaths.
So, does that feel good? You
No,
like, no.
that
So,
doesn't feel good. Are you asking me how when I?
yeah, like I want to really, we're helping your mind to recognize,
Yeah.
right? Like,
No, it
okay,
doesn't feel good. It feels like there's something that might be happening with me physically. Like, oh no, now I need to go to the cardiologist.
okay, 1 second. And then the last part, now you've identified where it's at in your body, which is great because you could even do some breath work around that. You could hold that space wherever that is coming up for you. Some
Mm-hmm.
people, the lower back, wherever it is, the heart, you could hold that space and do breath work there because you've now recognized it. But the next question is, who would you be without that thought? You didn't have the thought, my future is out of control. What would you look like?
I wouldn't have palpitations. I wouldn't have shortness of breath. I would have my thoughts wouldn't be so scattered if I didn't have that thought.
Yeah. So literally imagining yourself right now without the thought. You can't even think the thought. What does your body feel like? Does it,
When I'm
is,
not thinking the thought.
yeah, well, you can't, let's just pretend you can't even have the thought. It's impossible
Oh,
to think it.
I'm so much more relaxed. I mean, like even right now, I've pulled my shoulders back. I took a deep breath.
So can you see how we literally identified that thought is toxic to your body because you just acknowledged how it feels, that you don't like the feeling. And then you also acknowledged if the thought's not there, if we just took the thought away, that how your body is different, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, what you can do if you would like is find a turnaround to the thought.
Yes.
So, what would be a turnaround that you would want to say about your future?
All details take care of themselves. God is in control.
Oh, so those 4 questions I feel like are really powerful when somebody can do it with you because it helps
Yes.
you take a step back. But you can do them by yourself. It's called The Work. She has a free app that you can do it with. She also has a website where there's a free downloadable worksheet you could do it with. But essentially today, what we're just to summarize is the things that are going on in your mind are toxic and they can produce a lot of yucky stuff in your body and in your health. And we want to encourage you, wherever you're at on the spectrum of recognizing this, that you continue to work on it and take a step forward.
Yeah. 1% better every day.
Yeah. Just
And be patient with yourself. If I can say that, I need to say that to myself. I'll say it to you. Be patient.
well, we sure love you. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back in April. Bye.
And feel
Happy.
free to reach out to us too. I mean, we're right here with you guys. We've, you know, we are relatable because we want to relate to you. That's why we're here, because we know if we're going through stuff, you guys are going through stuff, and that's why we're doing this. We want to be here for you if you need us. So please feel free to reach out.
Okay, I just have to say one more thing. I'm like, this is probably the longest one we've ever done. And
Yeah, I think so.
there's a lot to talk about. But so I heard this story on the radio the other day. I love listening to a station called K-Love. There was a little project that this elementary school group did. And it was basically like a pep talk project. So all of these little kids made recordings that were like a pep talk for you. And like, you're great, you're loved, like, have a great day. I think there's even just like kindergartners singing some sort of happy song. There's a few different recordings. So the teacher was hoping that this little project, that maybe they would just get like 100 calls in the first month that they opened up this phone line, for people to call in and just get a little pep talk, right? So not only was that just blown out of the water, that phone number, which we'd have to look it up, and maybe I can find it and post it, receives 9,000 calls per hour.
Wow.
This is how many people are longing for and in desire of someone to say something good and kind and loving and encouraging to them. Like, do not feel alone, because if there's 9,000 people calling this phone number an hour, you can just know that all of that stuff you're dealing with and caring and feeling, you're not alone, right? There is such a need for just hearing these good things, for getting the little pep talk. And really, that's what we're working to do for ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to give ourselves a pep talk to shift. So I loved that story because
Such a
it
good
demonstrates how great the need is.
yes.
All right. Well, have a blessed, oops, I hit the wrong thing. Have a blessed rest of your week. And we'll see you next month.
So, so signing out.
Signing out.